Render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. Well, sounds like separating church and state, doesn't it? Well, yes and no. I'll explain that to you. Three different scenarios. First one is this. There have been times in history, and there still are today, where what we have is a theocracy. A theocracy. What does that mean? It is a state that is run by religion, religious doctrines, religious leaders. And I suppose the best we can come to it today is probably the Islamic State. The Ayatollahs run those countries. The second scenario that we have is one whereby the church has a special status in the state. Special status in the state. And some of you might be familiar with the special status, for instance, that the church had in Ireland. Or perhaps in Italy. Now, I'll just give you a little brief background of that Italian situation. It's not too long ago that the Italian state took a lot of its moral guidance from the church. And some of you might remember a great actress, Sophia Loren. Remember Sophia Loren? Okay, she was really something in her day. Anyway, you might remember a famous story that she was divorced and remarried. She married a man, a producer named Carlo Ponti. And when she went back into Italy, she was arrested because she broke the state law against divorce. Okay? That's the example of special status that the church would have with the state. Now, ever since the Second Vatican Council, that relationship has changed. There are very few places that have that kind of relationship anymore. There might be a state church. For instance, the Church of England is the official state church. But what we have now, for the most part, what the church has come to see is that we don't necessarily need to have the church having a special status in a state. But what we do need is the church to be able to speak out on the issues of the day and to be free to evangelize. And the great Pope John Paul said it so well. He said, we don't want to impose, we want to propose. We don't want to impose, we want to propose. In regular documents of the Second Vatican Council, the Church in the Modern World, the Council says that the church, Christians, should be yeast in the dough. They should be mixed in there, giving the dough, the world, a richness and a certain amount of growth for the welfare of human beings. Okay? That's where we are right now in history of the world and the history of the church, at least for Western civilization. Now, it is then the job of the church to inform people about what is right and what is wrong. It's the job of the church. And some people will say, well, you can't do that. You're mixing religion and politics. Well, in some areas, there is no separation because we're not just talking about theology. What we're talking about is ethics and morality, and we're talking about what comes to us through natural law and natural reason. That any human being should be able to grasp, even without the Bible, even without the teachings of the church, even without the Pope. So, the church then has that job of informing people is I put the points up on the screen as to how a Catholic should form his or her conscience on voting. Now, this, I want to say very humbly, this is a technological upgrade on Bishop Sheen's blackboard. So, we're going to now have the first point. And Bernadette, in the screen room, could you please put up the first point? Okay. This is the first point. If you have your cell phone camera, you can take pictures of it. But we will have it up online on actionforlife.net, and that is going to be on our YouTube actionforlife.net, and you can then pass this on to your friends. Okay, number one, abortion is irreformable. An irreformable prohibition because it is based on the natural law. I said, that's what is written on our hearts. It's based on the natural law. This is not a piece of theology, okay? This is the natural law that any human being could reason to. It's written in our hearts by God, okay? So there is the divine law, which God gives us, and it is reflected to us in the natural law, things that we can observe, and we can see, and that we should know by just human instinct tells us certain things are right and certain things are wrong. So, this applies to all persons, Buddhists, Hindus, Muslims, atheists, everybody, not just Catholics. Okay, point number one. Okay, point number two. Therefore, every Catholic must oppose abortion. Every Catholic must oppose abortion. Period. A pro-choice Catholic is an oxymoron. You know what I mean? It's a contradiction. And I see sometimes groups say we are Catholics for choice. It is a contradiction. A Catholic cannot be pro-choice. Okay. Point three. A Catholic politician must say that while I uphold legitimate law, I will not encourage abortion or abortion rights. I will not encourage abortion or abortion rights. If a Catholic politician encourages abortion or encourages abortion rights, they are in contradiction not just to Catholic teaching, but to the natural law. They violated the natural law, which applies to every human being. Okay, next point. A Catholic cannot vote for someone who is pro-abortion. That goes without saying. You cannot vote for someone who is pro-abortion. Next point. When voting, important, when voting, a Catholic must keep in mind that the preeminent moral issue designated by the National Conference of Catholic Bishops, this is by the National Conference of Catholic Bishops, not by me, is abortion. Designated by the National Conference of Catholic Bishops is abortion must be weighed in their decision when they vote. It's the preeminent, it's called the preeminent moral issue of our day, and it must be weighed against all the other issues. So some people might say, well, what about capital punishment? No. Abortion is a preeminent issue. We're losing about 850,000 babies a year. That's without counting those who are chemically aborted. And on the other side, we have 22 people in this past year who were executed by 7 states. And so you can see there is an imbalance there. You can also say, well, I'm in favor of more liberal immigration policies. And that's fine. But it still cannot outweigh the preeminent moral issues that the bishops have decided must be balanced against the other side, which are very weak in comparison to the preeminent moral issue. That's Catholic teaching. That's good human days, Joe Biden gave a talk, and I suppose some kind of a press conference, and the issue came up, maybe it was at his town hall, I'm not sure, about transgender children. He said that you have to respect an 8 to a 10-year-old child who believes he or she is of the opposite gender than their biological makeup. And he says that that has to be respected to make them happy. An 8 to a 10-year-old? That is absurd. You have many people at that age who are psychosexually immature. They're trying to come to grips with who they are. Do you listen to an 8 to a 10-year-old telling you I want to be something else? That is a tremendous disservice to a child. It's immoral. It's unethical. It's cruel and inhumane. Because people change as time goes by. And for the most part, what we do see is when a child does reach teenage years, for the most part, they are in conformity with their biological gender. To begin to pump children with dangerous hormones and chemicals, and then to mutilate them, their bodies, to make them conform with some idea that they have that there's something other than how God made them, is inhumane. It is unscientific. It is not good psychology. It is a dangerous way to go. People these days want to be politically correct. That's not politically correct, it's politically stupid. Period. Last point is this. Joe Biden said that he would sign the Equality Act. Does anybody really understand what the Equality Act is? Well, I'm for equality. We are all for equality. The Equality Act basically says this, that anyone who is LGBTQ plus has the same rights as those that are enshrined in the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which apply to race and gender, male and female. If this act, it's gone through Congress already, if this act gets signed, the danger is not that it can tell us what to do in our Catholic institutions, in our schools. And we would then be sued for not fulfilling the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So we can find ourselves in deep trouble if something like this gets passed. And furthermore, it also allows for those people who believe that they are transgender to use the locker rooms and bathrooms of people of the opposite gender. So that if some boy decides, I'm a girl and I'm going to use the girls' facilities, he has every right to do so. That's absurd. You know, there is such a thing as modesty. And people of the opposite gender, boys and girls, have a right to privacy. They really do. There's also called something that we know as chastity, to be chaste. But we don't hear much about that anymore. Everybody wants to be politically correct. Politically correct means basically this, that anything goes. That we're afraid other people don't like us. That they might cancel us if we speak out the truth. What I just said, common sense will back up. So, when you vote, it's your obligation to vote. Don't take it lightly. Get out there and vote. But vote according to the principles that I just gave you. Because in this election, our very freedom is at stake. Our very country is at stake. It is the difference between a world that is on the straight and narrow and a world that is going to go to hell in a handbasket. God love you.